Markovic. I'm from Resident Limited, and I'm here to present Privé, our private credit blockchain platform. Okay. Unlike bank loans and publicly listed bond markets, private credit deals do not require registration or regulatory reporting. They are private, and the borrowers what borrowers see in private credit is the low cost of the overhead, the speed of execution, and most importantly, flexible terms. Investors, on the other hand, what they see is that we have the institutions which value stable and predictable cash flow and above average returns. The size of private credit market is estimated to reach $1 trillion by 2020. That is the market: private placement, senior loans, mezzanine debt, distressed debt. However, the problem with private credit as it is today is that borrowers do not have direct access to the market. They have to go through intermediaries. The investable universe is fragmented and limited to middle market and large corporate issuers, mostly. There is no such thing as a single global point of reference or a single global marketplace for private credit. It is all fragmented over jurisdictions and domestical markets, proprietary listings. So the problem with this is that the reason why this is so is the so-called regulatory fragmentation and the associated regulatory costs for these centralized operators. Because centralized operators, they have to be regulatory entities. They are basically financial intermediaries. This is why a different approach is required. It doesn't work. Okay, this is why a different approach is required. The one that does not require the operator as a centralized entity, but is based on peer-to-peer deals, direct deals between market participants. And such a solution, one such solution is Privé. That is the only currently being planned for. It is based on a public Ethereum blockchain and the mainnet, and what it gives is that it offers its market participants a free and direct access to the market. One more thing that it offers that is unique to Privé is the regulatory guidance. So the market participants are guided through the entire process through standardized and regulatory compliant issues and trading, based on which investors can pick the best deals while borrowers can negotiate the most favorable of terms. Globally, this is a huge difference with respect to the centralized platforms, the software as a service.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up and pass it over to the judges.
Thank you.
Give me a hand, thank you.
What exactly do you mean by wrap it up?
I mean, we're finished. 2 minutes, brother. Thank you.
Okay, so please
That's
ask
how this
me
works,
questions.
Davey.
It was, I have to say, some of the parts were tough to understand, so hopefully I'm getting this correctly. But one of the biggest promises in blockchain today is essentially the opportunity for redistribution of wealth and opening up capital markets for more to gain. The biggest question here is actually how do you manage and what's your stance as a platform? Do you do the KYC? Do you do the compliance part? Do you take any stance?
I understand that. Okay, these parts are completely separated in Privé. Privé core is decentralized. This is required for the in order for the platform to be just software. So the participant transact freely, and there is no operator susceptible to regulatory requirements. But the other the dependencies that the platform has is to several well, let's say interfaces that will be implemented by freely participating centralized providers, which do not need to be financial intermediaries.
And then, so how do you make it trustless?
It does not need to, we are not escaping from centralization as such. This is a very real use case. We are using decentralization in order to reduce the cost, so that there is no compliance cost for anyone here other than the cost that incurred by the participants even without this platform. So the investors or the issuers, whoever, placement agents. So it is not that we're escaping from decentralization. No, we're using decentralization for what decentralization is best for, and we're using centralization for what centralization is best for.
Maybe to elaborate, just a final follow-up question. And so if it's not about trustlessness, it's still about reputation and the ability for P2P also to pay back. So
Yep.
How do you manage that?
These are regular private credit deals which are instantiated in real world. So they have legal obligations. The parties are mutually identified to each other. They are authenticated. They have to be known to each other. Each of the deals that are issued on our platform are going to be deals that are exist in the real world as well. That is legal deals.
Can you elaborate on the status of the company and the product and the acceptance of the product?
The stage of the product. Yeah, it's a relatively early development stage. We conceptualized everything. We spent a year analyzing the non-functional requirements, especially regarding not secure but privacy, which is an issue presently on blockchain. But we have a very grateful use case because deals in private credit are mutually confirmed. So we don't need a consensus which is based on the network.
So what is your go-to-market? Basically, you are selling this product to lenders and borrowers. Who are the target market for you?
Okay, here's the deal. What we're selling are copyright tokens. We're the first to announce this kind of strategy in January this year, and nobody has copied it so far. It was only logical to us that we were developing a decentralized platform to sell the platform itself. So the copyright holders gain all the rights and mutual obligations coming with that rights according to copyright laws. It will be a cash flow bearing token, but not a security, not even in the United States. So everybody is eligible to purchase our tokens. It's an intellectual property, basically.
Cool. So just thinking about the market, right? So what's your positioning vis-a-vis the different angles? Because you see generic platforms enabling security tokens. You see a lot of middleware enabling more smart contracts, escrow type of mechanisms. So the barriers to entry to something like you're building are going lower. I guess, how are you more prime positioned? And what is your core offering vis-a-vis other platforms that might not be crypto now, but might be over time enabled by crypto?
You mean the centralized platforms, or?
Both centralized and decentralized.
Okay, the centralized platforms are not our competition. It is not financially feasible for them to be compliant with all the jurisdiction in the world. This is a long-term problem for them. I mean, there are three Schuldschein bond markets in Germany. VC Trade being one of them, and they compete among each other. But what they offer is only fragmented listings of the private deals, nothing else. And they cannot offer other deals from other jurisdictions. We have a global offering of deals. So our goal, for example, I will be satisfied one day, and I will say that this job is accomplished once that a credit manager is capable to use our platform to instantiate CLO on our platform within 6 clicks. So the process that lasts, for example, from 2 months anywhere to up to a year, because we have come up with different types of structured credit products. We do not need necessarily the structuring in terms of legal entities by going over a trust or something. Everything that can be done on platform, on the fly.
Cool. And how are you looking to distribute your product? So go to market. So there's a lot of entities in the space. There's quite a political industry, banking. So how are you looking to distribute your product?
Sentence.
The product is decentralized, so it will be downloadable as a client application, which accesses the smart contracts on the blockchain. In very simple terms, that is our core applications. Others will attach to our application with their centralized solutions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Drop your sleeve out again. Cool. Thank you very much. Our next startup is going to be GexPay. Give them a hand.
I'm Pepe. I'm from Global Exchange Payments, simply GexPay. This is our offer for you. This is the future. How can see mobile payments, instant mobile payments in the future. This is. You can show, you can see, and it's all. Simple. We do it very simple. You can install till end of my presentation, and in the end of my presentation, you will see one QR code, and you can win GexPay tokens. This is about the evolution of payment platforms, how it comes from cash, plastic cards, online system, and complexity. Yeah, and GexPay do it very simple. I have very few time to talk in 3 minutes about all our features, but this is only in text. What we can do. We can do mobile payments, instant payments, credit and bonus system, crypto wallet, online payments, everything. Half of this we have already done. We do fiat currency, also we do cryptocurrency. We can integrate it in our wallet. We can just now, in 3 minutes, open your account. We can connect to PSD2, and it's simple. We can pay with everything, with tokens, with fiat. This is how we work it on the payers side, and this is on accept. We offer for many merchants white label, loyalty program, referral marketing, affiliate, and data analysis. This is our integration. This is how we do it. It's very short time to talk about everything what we can do and what we have. And this is areas of case scenarios. Vouchers, it's paper voucher, we can digitize it, and many of these things we have half made. You can really download app from your stores and you can scan it. This is our business cases. This is our team. And this is QR. Who will be the first and put it this code? You can just now receive 2,000 GexPay tokens. You can ask everything.
Thank you.
This is for you, Win.
I mean, I have to say, I've seen, I think, almost any possible business model around payment in this presentation. If we just break it down to the core and to the essence, so what's set up right now? Which product offering do you have in place?
Our business model is in transfer fees. I have so few time that I can't explain everything about architecture, security, payments, APIs, and everything.
But maybe just to make it a little bit more concise, so which product is live right now? What's the traction on that product, and what is that product exactly?
Product is a payment solution.
Right, and then so how many customers do you have? What's the traction, current state?
We are a fintech startup. We have very few customers, and it's in pilot phase, and that's why we have no real income now.
Okay, so let's say you want to convince us to invest in your company. So what's the key factor you want to convey? So what's the stickiness? How are you going to convince us that you're going to attract clients for this proposition?
It depends on the investor what in which area they want to invest. If crypto, we can make for him crypto tokens, payment systems, and fees in crypto. When somebody wants to merchant with fiat, we can make with fiat, and also we can do it fiat and crypto exchange.
Maybe just a final question, I'll have it to my other colleagues over here, but as an investor, we invest in teams, and essentially we want the team, and actually especially the founders, to have the vision, and then we can follow, we can help iterate, and we can help attract clients and such, but I just really want to know, so what's your vision on this market? So let's say within 12 to 18 months, where are you going to stand, and what's going to be
Our vision is integrated crypto and fiat in all the world.
So my question is, so since you're quite early in your journey, right? What is the initial hook to get either a consumer or a merchant on board, right? There's loads of payment methods for consumers, increasingly also options to pay for crypto or pay for fiat, mobile, online, you know, in-store. And then the same for acceptance. You know, there's many different solutions out there. So what is the killer feature for adoption, I guess?
We are very quick, secure, and this is so similar solutions are in the market. And this is in this level, it's only about marketing, really, and investing money. It's all.
And are you looking to focus on specific markets early on the acceptance side?
We are very suitable for CMA, for SME, for merchant shops and this, and also for transfers from one side to another side of the world. For example, now you can in seconds send money to Australia.
Got it.
In crypto, also in fiat.
Final follow-up question. You mentioned PSD2 there. I guess PSD2 is also increasing the ability to do payments in different means, right? So payment initiation. What do you think how will that affect?
Payer in this case, payer initiate paying. Also, we were in European Central Bank with this product. We presented it in 7 from 200 startups, and this is the way how this can be do.
Cool.
I mean, I have to say, I'm still struggling a little bit by, you know, the value proposition, you know, what you're actually building, but maybe you can help us out a little bit by explaining a little bit more about yourself. So why are you doing this? Why are you passionate about this project? Do you have any experience in this business before?
Yes, sure. We are fintech. We have experience in gaming, programming, and also part of team work in bank and also in one payments institution. It's our experience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Our next startup coming to stage, you might remember this name from a famous graffiti artist, Bank Z.
I'm Kate, CMO at Bank Z, which is a technology for banks to onboard Generation Z customers through our family banking solution. Meet Susie, she is 16, she runs a popular YouTube channel. We have bad news though, she will never become a traditional bank customer. Generation Z has alternative banking options such as challenger banks and tech giants. Fintechs in Europe already make 7% of the industry's total annual revenue. There are 2 billion Gen Z kids in the world who will make up 40% of global customers by 2020. Combined with their spending power, banks could be missing out on a huge customer base. This is why we developed a white label solution for banks to reach and onboard Generation Z, build brand loyalty, provide superior customer experience, and develop financial literacy at the same time. Our offer consists of a mobile application with 2 role-based user interfaces and the Smart Coin Box. Children are onboarded into the financial ecosystem early on. They can set savings goals, get regular monthly allowances, and set instant cash requests, and much more. Using our own age-adaptive engine called Zemo, we ensure that children get age-appropriate functions and user interfaces. The app starts out as a virtual pocket money manager for kids and transitions into a full-blown mobile banking application for teenagers. User acquisition happens in two main channels. On the one hand, we acquire new customers, and on the other hand, we acquire existing customers, extended family members, and children. Market trends show that B2C applications for Gen Z finances are gaining significant market validation, and banks are starting to react too. Our total market consists of 6,250 banks in Europe, from which we see a realistic obtainable market of 25 banks in the upcoming 5 years, resulting in a revenue of over 7 million euros. Our competition is threefolded. The B2C segment is pretty crowded. This is why we decided to focus on the B2B market. What sets us apart is our age-adaptive approach, our smart coin box, and our Gen Z research expertise. We have an initial license fee model, and our income stream depends on app and hardware sales to banks. Acquiring these banks takes effort. This is why we participate at fintech accelerator programs, startup events, build strategic partnerships, and have an account-based marketing strategy. We only started 11 months ago, but since then we secured 200,000 euros in seed investment, developed a working mobile application, and started to work with a Polish bank, Alior Bank. For Q1, we will acquire a new customer, and also we're looking to secure a Series A funding. Our team has significant experience in delivering digital banking products and also marketing them to the target group. And we have our unique Gen Z advisory board who help us to ideate, design, and validate our product. We are awaiting your questions, and please let me introduce the founder of BankZ, Gergely Trifonov.
Thank you. So first of all, very, very nice presentation. Thank you for that. As a father of two Z generation, I think this is really, really cool stuff.
Thank you.
And also from the perspective of the bank. So if you can elaborate, what is your main value proposition again, comparing to other players in this industry, and what is your go-to-market approach?
Okay, so we focus on banks, and as I mentioned, we have an account-based marketing strategy, which means that we have a few buyer personas, which we know how to target. So our primary target markets are mainly in the CEE region for now, and also we are looking to expand to Western European banks, and we are targeting directly like these personas, for example, head of retail, head of youth strategy, and that's how we progress to banks.
So basically, you're going to do white labeling of your solutions to the bank that you're going to sell your product, right?
Yes, exactly. So we can customize the application to their own branding. We can integrate the functions that they wish.
And in terms of, because I saw some of the user experience, it's a kind of very adapt to the Z generation. So how you'll change and modify this capability to the labeling of and the branding of each bank that you're working with?
Basically, there are two drivers for the change. It's based on the age of the kid. That's the primary driver, and kids can earn experience points. And based on that, we gave them badges, achievements, and also they help the kid to unlock more functionality in the app. So it's gamified.
So it's already in production, or what is the stage of the product?
Actually, the product is considered more or less done. We are past the MVP phase, and now we are working on the first pilot project with Alior in Poland.
Okay, I mean, again, excellent presentation. I mean, two questions come to mind. One, you actually already have answered, and you chose explicitly for a B2B2C approach. On the other hand, you know, companies like Revolut, you just secured 250 million in funding. Right now, I talked to one of the board members. They're blowing up, they're exploding. It seems, you know, on the one side, B2C is tough. On the other side, you need to convince the incumbents to actually use your software, and you're tapping into the core of their product. So how do you think you're going to do that and go to 25 banks within 5 years?
As Kata said, we use this account-based marketing stuff, and we know that selling to banks is pretty hard. But we also consider this as a leg of a future B2C offering.
And then, so the other thing that's really important in your presentation is you mentioned your knowledge in Generation Z, and you have a couple of personas, but could you elaborate a little bit more what makes this such a, I would say, interesting and relevant database? for banks to use?
Okay, so what we mean by gender research expertise, that we actually validated, we're co-designing and co-developing with children aged between 8 and 18-year-olds. We had some use case researches, so we had 27 kids in our office, and we went through the functions with them. We also asked them about reward mechanisms and family dynamics, like how do they handle cash and money in the family. So this is what we mean by it. And of course, we're planning to do a next round of use case research as well. And once we have customers, we will have data to also work with that. Like, what are the functions that parents want to enable for an 8-year-old, or what are the functions that they only want to have their 16-year-old children?
So to make it super concrete, you raised 200K in seed funding, going for a next round next year, 600,000 to 700,000 euros. So what are you actually going to do with that? So what will be the milestones that we can commit you to after the capital raised?
We would like to focus on team growth because we need to grow our team. This year, we doubled the team in less than a year. And of course, international expansion because we definitely need customers. And we focus on the CE and Western European market.
And then so let's say one bank, how many customers? When will you be satisfied? What's in the...
Sorry, could you please repeat?
So let's say you onboard one bank or maybe one bank and a half, but what will be the amount of customers that you actually will deploy this to? What type of numbers are we talking about? Thousands, 100,000?
It depends on the country, of course, and the demographics. We expect a few tens of thousands in the first round for a customer.
Great presentation again. I'm guessing all these banks are buying into stickiness and engagement, right? So how can we have engaged young people that potentially we can upsell and cross-sell? And so does your product roadmap look like, and how are you, ensuring that that's the case?
Okay, so we have this gamified approach. Like we have rewards and badges, and also, of course, we have push notifications for the parents. So it's like the functions that we have in the app that will ensure user engagement and also the user experience. Because like right now, if you give a mobile bank to, I don't know, a 10-year-old, they will likely not understand it and not like it. But through these functions, like, I don't know, I just got a new badge because I set a new savings goal, or I just have money for an Xbox finally. Those will be the factors that will ensure that the children will use it again and again.
And I guess, do you target parents or kids? And it's a tough one, right?
Yeah, it's tough. So we are mainly targeting the parents, and through the parents, we will get through to the children and help them. Because the parent has to initiate the family conversation about financial education, and also there are use cases. So I don't know, right now, children usually start to get money when they go home alone from school. So they will need it for bus or for breakfast or lunch or whatever. But we want to bring this, to move this to an earlier age when they don't actually need the money. It's just good that they start to actually learn about handling money and acquire new good financial habits.
Cool, thank you. One final question. So there's a lot of banks that are now purchasing all these like PFM solutions, right? And I guess a lot of them will try to extend their product roadmap, and I'm assuming some of them might try to offer some of these features. What are your key, let's say, barriers to ensure key kind of USP vis-a-vis them?
You mean the key barriers to sell to banks, or?
So I mean versus other solutions, like there's many solutions in the market that cater for mass market, and they try to upsell, cross-sell, right, to banks. So they're also developing features that might be alike. So trying to understand how does your product really differentiate vis-a-vis what they might be building.
I think this family-focused, kind of social media-like approach is unique. And of course, we have the hardware, the Coinbox, which is also a differentiator because not many competitors offer this. And it's a pretty cool driver and motivator for kids, and also a good educational tool.
Great, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Now, for our second to last startup for the day, we're going to be welcoming NeoEye.
So if today I steal your password, essentially I can do everything. I can steal your data. I can steal your money. I can steal your blocks. And the password, I can impersonate you. I can be you. But so the password is you. But that is not really true, is it? So we realized that the way you're typing the password makes you actually different. Now, I would like to show you a video presentation of MyCTO. So MyCTO here has a simple login application with a 4-digit PIN. So he types the PIN, 2580, and is able to access regularly. Now, the fraudster tried to impersonate him, so he will log in using the same the same PIN code, 2580. But this time, is not able to access. Now, the reason is that when you type the password, there are 1,000 ways you can type the same password. Imagine the way you hold the phone, the way you type the password in the screen, the pressure you put in the finger, the speed of typing the password. All together, all these factors are unique for each individual as much as a face or a voice or a finger. So we created an AI that is able to recognize the user by looking at the way they type the password. And the result is a simple SDK that integrates in mobile or web application and can recognize the user by looking at the behavior without asking any information, without asking face, voice, finger, anything. And that demo that you saw before, over 2,000 people tried to hack that device, that 4-digit PIN, and we had 0 false positives so far. Now, with this, we can give you the tool to detect and prevent account takeover, password breach, bot attack, password sharing, so that we can get that account around, that account some billion of data loss over a year for banks and enterprises. And the cost of this solution is also, let's say, a unique business model where we charge only per frauds, so that you always know that the benefit of this solution is going to have at least 10 times the cost of the frauds. So we won several awards all across the world, and now we are part of PayPal Incubator. We started different pilot applications from BBVA and Axis Bank, large Indian banks, and we built a very strong team. It's an old picture, that's okay. Expert in AI, machine learning, biometrics, cybersecurity. And today we are closing our first round. So if you have 500K to spare, we are accepting the seed round. And that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
So this is really interesting solution. There's some uniqueness in what you're doing, if I understand correctly, that you actually identify with a small amount of gesture, and based on that, you can do the authentication, right?
There are over 100 of different behavioral patterns when you type a password. Either you are on a mobile phone or a web application, so that we can use it, process it, and then we pass it through the AI that do the rest and recognize the user.
So just to understand, so basically you're trying to tackle the first layer of authentication, also fraud detection, ongoing, using any mobile application or website.
So think about this like an additional layer of security to any existing architecture you insert in your application, and it just help you to prevent the frauds. It gives you that signal that you can use and you can treat as you like. You can decide to block the user, to ask two-factor authentication, to just alert the risk analysis team, so you can choose what to do.
What about true positive, not false positive?
Well, true positive, in that specific case, we are talking about 1 of 50, but of course depends from the person and the device. Yes.
Okay, so maybe to add from my side, I mean, excellent presentation. I like the descriptiveness. It was slow and steady, especially like you ending with the sheets with Tata and also the partnership with PayPal. I have a question on that later, but primary, I mean, not to demystify this technology, but it's been around for quite a while. I've seen lots of companies doing the same thing. Essentially, the key part is, do you get the right partners on board, right? So how does the partnership with PayPal look? And are they going to implement this for the user base, or what's the perspective on that?
So PayPal is an accelerator. So essentially what we do, they help us to put the technology in shape. Now, there is a potential of pilots, but of course, whenever you are talking about this large application, it will take a lot of time. But essentially, they are helping us to reach a potential customer that could be interested and also get the technology in shape for a potential
And
integration.
so for companies like Tata Steel, would it be primarily for employee perspective? So
Also, the idea is, of course, as of now, we are just doing sales by our own. But if you want to scale it up, we need to partner.
right, but the use case would be actually for the employees to start using the technology to log into their also centralized applications from the company itself.
Yes, correct.
And
Essentially,
so,
as a white label solution.
Right, you didn't tell us anything about the model. So, you know, is it a price per person, per user? How does it work?
Sorry.
So how does the model work? Is it a price per user? Is it a...
So essentially, for one client, we are actually experimenting per frauds. So what we're saying is, if you have a specific amount of frauds, we just charge a fraction of that, and that's it.
And then, so how much of the current revenue projection that you've made is for, I would say, the onboarding of the client, and how much is actually going to be fixed revenue? Do you have any expectation on that?
So the idea, today, let's say this year, we had almost $0 revenues, okay? But the expectation is, if we consider it the pilot that we are doing, and if we're gonna go to production, let's say for the next year, we can expect 300 to 400K of the revenue.
Right. And then, so how many companies do you expect to onboard, let's say, in the next 12 to 24 months?
In the next 12, at least 4 to 6, it will be the right
And that
banks.
will be essentially what type of revenue range should I think about?
So around, let's say, 70K to 100, but yeah, for each one. Yeah. At least for initial, but of course it's recurring revenue, so in that scenario, it can go, let's say, for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No, I think it's a cool solution. As you said, there's lots in the market. I think it's more of an execution play, right? So
Sure,
have the right
absolutely.
partnerships, the right use
Yeah.
cases.
Well, consider then, I mean, we know, of course, there are many big companies that are providing this solution. We decided to move geographically in different scenarios. For example, in India, we are, let's say, the first mover. There is no one that knows this kind of technology. Everybody knows about us. We won several awards that made us a lot of recognition. So we may have, let's say, a big piece, let's say, of the Indian market. Then we are also trying to the other markets because it's a large market. There are different geographies and also different verticals. We have banks. There are the opportunity of the healthcare, government, e-commerce. Is a plenty, let's say.
Well, maybe just as a final questions. So if there's, I mean, there's a lot of sectors and verticals, as you mentioned. You're targeting Tata Steel, so more at that perspective. What, if you could actually choose yourself, so what would be the first focus area, and then what would be the second? Public health, or what would be?
So the banks are definitely the most interested today. And since we have already this information, this traction, let's say in India, we are going to chase the Indian market and hold the banks over there. We would like also to look at the healthcare market that also in the US is pretty big, and it will make use of this technology because it will be very important to them to improve effectiveness of protection of inside the sanity. And then there is healthcare, e-commerce that is also big, but we need to find, let's say, a better way to let's say, get into this market because, of course, there are already different competitors or players that are working on that. In the long term, in the long vision, actually, is we want to kill the password. Our tagline is kill the password. So the promise of this technology over the time is that you can just take the phone with you, open it up, the application, and you are already logged in without even typing the password. That is the promise of the biometrics. So in that scenario, we expect that startups may be the most interested of this kind of technology, and then eventually they can take it up to the other one.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank
Awesome
you.
talk. And so, we come to the last but not least startup of the day, Coin Studio. Give them a hand.
And I'm the lead developer of Coin Studio, and today I would like to introduce you to us and to our first product, and as well as where we are heading to. And what is Coin Studio? Coin Studio is supposed to be hopefully your trading companion if you're anything into it. And when we entered the crypto scene, like most of us. We were just trying to get some Bitcoin, and we faced the problem that we didn't know actually when to get in and when to get out. And we did some research and found out, you know what, we're going to try to scratch our own itch. And since we are developers, we're trying to come up with a tool ourselves. And the result of this, after months of research and actually trying it ourselves, we created Coin Studio Lite. And Coin Studio Lite is supposed to be a companion for cryptocurrency trading. And what it does, it gives you reasonable lows and highs, so keeps you in a reasonable channel, so that you're hopefully not losing too much. And it's suited for beginners and advanced people. It's basically supposed to give you a second opinion, but despite that, it's also giving you the state of the markets and of the direction. And the best of all, it's not just limited to crypto. If you look at it, there is some stuff to explain there still, but I want to get into details here. But you can see you have things like the low and high predictions, you have the accuracy. The Coin Studio Lite is self-testing, yeah, it's actually trading, and it's showing you in the accuracy how well it's doing it. So, as I said before, we're heading to somewhere else, and what's next is we're going to create a pro version of the Lite, Coin Studio Lite version, which lets you actually trade. Coin Studio Lite is more, like as I said, a companion, and Coin Studio Pro will be an integrated trading environment. And it will be able to trade at multiple exchanges and have plenty of nice features. One is autopilot, and will be hopefully the tool that people are going to use, which I'm pretty sure some will. And we also need to somehow to market it. And we wanted to create our own marketplace and also invite other developers to join that marketplace. And our next plan after this Coin Studio Pro development is to implement a decentralized app marketplace that solves the issue of centralized curation. So the curation of actually the application steps or whatever is executed through consensus. So it cannot happen that as a developer, your dApp will be rejected by just one person. The entire moderation is done, so to say, by the community. Here's an example how the Coin Studio Marketplace could look like. And that's basically it. Thank you. Ah, one thing, I forgot, sorry. We printed these guys for you. So if you would like, you can come to our booth and you can try out Coin Studio Lite yourselves. Even if you're not trading, maybe you know somebody, and just give it to them. We printed a few. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I really like the Coin Studio Lite and going into Pro, because it was a cliffhanger for 1 minute and a half, and I was waiting, and it was a cliffhanger for me, so happy you're also launching a Pro version. Otherwise it would be like, the biggest question here is, so do you have a base community right now that is using Coin?
Yes, we have a base community. We developed a small community. We wanted to keep the footprint low. Yeah. We just started, actually. That's our entry into the crypto space. But it's actually like, I can actually tell the numbers, like 400 people. They are not all of them active, but there are all sorts of people. There were like regular people, casual traders. There were like pros, yeah. And the funny part is it actually helps.
So two obvious questions. So one is on the one side, especially within these volatile markets right now in crypto,
yeah.
Does this estimate actually work? And then the second question is...
it works, but you need to see it as a companion. You will still do your trading analysis. You will still need to read up, but sometimes it happens. You need a quick decision. Yeah, you want a second opinion. So you're basically looking quickly, and then if it fits with your own estimate or with the sentiment that the market has, okay. If you see it, there's too much diversity between the numbers, then you know either this or that has an issue, right?
Maybe just one final follow-up question. So what's the pricing strategy going to be like for Coin Pro?
For the Pro, we have actually we're in the lucky position. We have a tech-savvy customer base already for various previous projects we did. It's around about 50,000 tech-savvy customers, and we did some little research on them, and we projected around 10% of them are tech-savvy, and not just they're anyway tech-savvy, they're crypto-savvy. Yeah? Didn't expect that myself, so we've just projected then 4,000 in the first year customers, and each, in average, it depends on the membership plan that they will have, each $200 per year. Yeah. We wanted to keep it like low. We're not like going like in the millions straight, yeah. we want to slowly get this rolling.
So what are the tools that you provide inside the application? Eventually, they need to have some kind of tools to evaluate the trading. So what are you providing?
Sorry, didn't understand.
What do you provide in the application in terms of tools to do the trading?
The application is the tool itself. You mean the tools that we are using within?
Yeah, eventually there's some, for trading, you need to know to see some of the market's information, to see volatilities, to see trends, to see, are you providing these kinds of capabilities inside your application?
Yeah, if you mean like things like sentiment and stuff, that's actually built in the framework and in the API layer that we built. There is a part of it is like classical mathematics from technical analysis, and we are also checking for the sentiment, and there is a good part of this is our own mathematical insights that we had when we were developing it. If you're talking about that, I don't know if you...
So you have it inside as part of your platform as an API?
Exactly. Practically, any other developers, and it's not there on the slides, but any other developer could attach to it and use the data.
So what is kind of your early adopter target customer? Because I'm assuming the types of tools and level of simplicity are really dependent on the type of customer you're acquiring.
Yeah, the type of customer. So if you go for CoinStudio, if you ask me for CoinStudio Lite, it would be like day traders or swing traders. It wouldn't be like the classic, the hodler, you know, the long-term guy. Although we could move up the scale, but personally, I don't see a reason for this. Yeah, the hodlers, the long-term investors in the crypto market, it's a little bit different story. Yeah, there you don't usually think in terms of trading. They keep in terms of holding.
And how are you looking to acquire, or how are you acquiring these customers today?
Through hard work. Hard work here means the classic channels. Yeah, we will have to approach YouTubers. It's very, and Twitchers even. So you actually have to give them money that they're talking about your project, but still like be not biased on it. Yeah. You need to get in contact with the community. You need to get in contact with developers. That's probably the most important point. Because the developers, in our point of view, are kicking things off. So if developers start to adopt your own technology, consumers will also start to adopt. Yeah?
Since you mentioned the day trader, since it's a very volatile market,
yes.
Can you estimate what is the current size of this market in terms of potential?
This is the market cap, right? If we are
for day traders.
For day traders, I was thinking that a lot about myself, but I would say the market cap, it's defined by the volatility of the market cap. If you see, for example, the market cap is falling from 130 billion to 127 billion, 123 billion in a few hours, then you know you have like day traders, yeah, or short-term traders, not necessarily, but you have an idea how large the day trading market is. The difference between that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
The lay of the land, any comments from everything you've seen today? You don't have to give us any favorite picks. We'll wait for that for tomorrow.
I think I can say something for the entrepreneurs and also the people here. I see a lot of startup, and I think also my colleagues here. One of the very important thing is when you give a pitch, and you have only 3 minutes, you need to very focus on your value proposition and to be very clear, because it's really, really complex to explain the complexity of the technology that you need to provide. So this is something that need to be kind of, you need to work on that, and you need to be very clear on that, especially when you have 3 minutes to explain what you're doing.
It's true.
I mean, if I compare it to this morning, for example, I mean, the most obvious difference between the first round and this round is the fact that this morning the participants were more able to actually give me proof points. And with proof points, I mean, if you have traction, you start with traction. If you raise 20 million at Index Ventures, you start with that. If you don't have that, you need to find different traction points, right? So, for example, what's the team build up? What's their background? Is it an MIT researcher from Stanford, PhD? And to get us credibility within those 3 minutes, I think that's the most important thing, because in essence, we're only going to remember one single thing of that pitch.
That's right.
So, make it count. I think that would be the primary feedback from my side.
Tip of the spear with the highest credentialing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd only second that. And always, I think, a framework, when you have a kind of catchy pitch is to
Yeah.
say why you, why now, right?
That's
I think
right.
that always captures attention.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll wait for your final results a little bit later today, and then you'll hear about them all tomorrow morning. So come on down for that. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.